Welcome to Focus on Abilities, a program about issues affecting the lives of people with disabilities. I'm Lex Frieden. I'll be your host for today's program. I'm professor at UT Health, and I direct the Independent Living Research Utilization Program at TIER Memorial Hermann. We have an interesting show for you today. I've got a guest I can't wait to introduce. We'll do it after the break. But before we take the break, let me ask you a question that we will answer before the end of today's program. How many national wheelchair basketball championships have been won by Houston teams? Stay tuned. We'll be back with our special guest and the answer to that great question right after this break. Stay tuned.
The following program is sponsored by ILRU, Southwest ADA Center, promoting compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Hey there, you're watching Focus on Abilities on HTV, and we are here today with Mr. DaQuan Minor. DaQuan, welcome to Focus on Abilities.
Thanks for having me.
DaQuan, you were a guest on a show some years ago, weren't you? 5, 6, 7?
I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. A lot of things have changed in the world and in your life since then.
Yes.
At that time, if I recall, you were a volunteer at TIER.
Correct.
High school?
Yes.
And now?
Now I attend Texas Women's University. I'm pursuing my doctorate degree in occupational therapy. I still volunteer at TIER, but not as often, of course, because school is the primary goal as of right now.
So when we talked 7 years ago, you had an interest in doing patient care, patient services.
Correct.
And I think you had an idea that occupational therapy might be where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
But you hadn't even finished high school, and then when you did, you applied to get into graduate school at TWU, and how many other schools?
So I'm gonna rewind, because before I went to TWU, I went to the University of Houston. I graduated from the University of Houston in 2021. Coming out of University of Houston, I applied for 3 occupational therapy schools. I was accepted into all of them, but I felt as if Texas Women's would be the best fit for me due to the fact that it was local, and also I know plenty of great occupational therapists that came out of Texas Women's University.
Well, that's an amazing story. What was your degree from U of H in?
Public health. I majored in public health.
Okay. Obviously you did well in school, or you would never have been accepted into a doctoral program, and certainly not everyone that you applied to.
Correct.
And congratulations on your choice of TWU. It's
Thank you.
one of the highest ranked programs in the country.
Correct.
How do you feel there? Do you feel like you're ready to take on all the curricula there?
Coming into it, I was nervous. I just completed my first semester. In 3 weeks, I'll be starting my second semester, which will be the fall. Now I have the groove of it. It's not really challenging yet, because I've been around the occupational therapy field for the past 10 years, so it's not challenging yet. A lot of things I already know, but I'm still keeping that open mind. I'm still going into it with an open mind, as if I don't know it all.
So that is an interesting point. I think it speaks to a lot of people who have a desire to get into a certain field, if they have the opportunity.
Correct.
To do an internship or to volunteer to be around
Correct.
people working in that field for a period of time before they ultimately have to make a decision.
Correct.
They have a much better idea of what they're going to be doing, and probably a much better basic background to take on the challenge.
Correct.
When you're finished, will you do hands-on clinical service?
So that's the goal. So my short-term goal, I tell people, if somebody say, hey, tomorrow you're going to be an OT, go out and work. Of course, I feel like my niche, or what I would be a huge asset to, would be the spinal cord community. So I would prefer to go and work with individuals with spinal cord injuries. If I can be super detailed, I would prefer it to be adolescents. I was injured at the age of 16, so if I can target or work with that age range, it'll be perfect. At that age range, I was injured at 16, so I didn't live too much of life or too little of life, if that makes sense. So you can kind of help.
I am curious about that. You raised the point in time when you were 16 years old, and how were you injured exactly?
I was involved in a car wreck, a single car wreck. I was with some friends at the time, who were my friends at the time, and we were just young and dumb. We was out joyriding. It rained prior in the day, and the ground was slippery. He lost control of the car, hit the curb, and then the car flipped over. Anybody
else in the car hurt?
Just me.
Yeah. That takes me back a little bit. My neck was broken in a car wreck when I was a freshman in college, and I was out joyriding, and everybody walked out of that car but me.
Yeah.
And so I got to tear the same way you did to begin with.
Yeah. I tell people when things like that typically happen, it was meant to happen. Good and bad things happen for a reason.
When you got hurt and you went through rehabilitation, then you went home, right?
Correct.
Your family glad to have you?
Correct.
See, that's also fortunate.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
And those kids you're talking about helping, a lot of them probably don't have that kind of family support. While you were working at TIER, can you tell us some of the experiences that young people have when they have traumatic injuries? I mean, nowadays, it used to be, back in the day, most people broke their neck swimming, diving, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now it's a whole different world. How do they get hurt now?
I've seen some rare cases to where individuals just woke up paralyzed, not knowing, what happened or what took place. And then, of course, you have the extreme situations, acts of violence, things of that nature, slip and falls. It seems like nowadays it could pretty much happen from anything. So what I tell people is a spinal cord injury doesn't discriminate. It can happen in various forms.
I want to visit with you more about that. And also, I want to get around to this question we asked at the beginning of the show. I'll repeat it for our guests. I said, how many national wheelchair basketball championships have been won by Houston teams? We'll get back to that. We'll get back to DaQuan Minor. We're going to take a short break now. This is Focus on Abilities on HTV. Come back.
Moments shared with loved ones are precious. Joy, enchantment, connection. It's why we travel. At Houston Airports, we know the magic of flight begins the moment you secure your parking spot and embark on your journey. That's why we work so hard to bring you the most convenient parking solutions that are the best fit for your trip. If you're traveling for business or leisure, whether your voyage starts from Bush Intercontinental or William P. Hobby Airport, our parking team at Valet Parking, Eco Park, Eco Park 2, or Terminal Parking is here to give you a first-class experience with a big Texas smile. We're here for you to ensure this moment and every moment in between will be filled with great memories that will last a lifetime. So travel smarter, park smarter, and get more of the moments that matter.
Sam Houston Park is picturesque, with waddling ducks and 9 frozen-in-time historic buildings.
Lots of people with completely different backgrounds coming together for a greater goal kind of represents Houston as a whole.
And everybody has a different style, but somehow that's kind of our thing.
These different patches of people and cultures.
They bring something new to the table that influences a lot of what we do.
We embrace the future, we learn, we grow, we evolve, and work as one to build a better future here in Houston.
We could start by telling you how sleek it is, how it's at the edge of innovation in its industry, that it makes connections faster and more convenient. We could promote the fact that even traffic signals give it the green light. and that it moves so quickly we had to give it its own lane. Or you could just ride. Discover where this rail-like ride is going next. Visit ridemetro.org/MetroNext.
The Kennedy Bakery building is said to be one of the oldest haunts in Houston.
I'm Lex Frieden. You're watching HTV. This is Focus on Abilities. We're here with DaQuan Minor. DaQuan, you were hurt when you were 16 years old. Now you must be, what, 23?
27.
27?
Yes.
So 11 years ago. You are still learning to do things as a paraplegic, right?
Correct.
Why don't you tell folks how that works? I mean,
I feel like with the paraplegic lifestyle, it's an ongoing learning lesson. Whether that's in the physical aspect, mental aspect, you're always adapting. You may learn how to do something one way, and then eventually, you may progress or you may digress, whatever the case may be, and you may have to adapt. So yeah, it's still an ongoing process for me. Like prime example, starting graduate school, that's a whole new journey. So I have to adapt, in that environment now.
So one of the benefits of rehabilitation is that while you're there, short period of time, relatively speaking, you get the tools to be able to adapt yourself, so you don't have to depend on somebody else.
Correct.
To show you how to adapt, right?
Yes.
That's the role you'll be filling as an occupational therapist.
Yep.
You think having had that experience will make you a better OT?
Not to toot my own horn, but I definitely think me living a personal lifestyle, and this isn't any bad mouth to those who aren't paraplegics or who live the lifestyle, but I feel like it's just a different perspective when you live the personal experience and you can bring it over and you can talk to a patient, and I feel like that it helps them take into you more. And I see it now with the role I play at TIR. They may or may not talk with their current OTs or PTs, but if I come in, then they open up more. They open to listen to what I have to say.
A while ago you said that your life had been affected when you were injured, both good and bad.
Correct.
And I suppose the good part, you might say, sort of changed your life direction.
Correct.
Bad part was kept you from running and playing.
The physical aspect.
For the good part, obviously, you've taken advantage of that opportunity. And I think that's one of the challenges we have with people who come for rehabilitation, helping them understand this is a chance to change directions.
Correct.
And it did that for me. I mean, I was trying to study engineering and I wasn't enjoying it. Mm-hmm. After I broke my neck, I flipped over to psychology and people.
Okay.
And I liked that a lot better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was helpful. With the kids that come in today, some of them, I've seen them, they wear marks from their, I guess you'd say, gangland activity.
Yeah.
And they get hurt in really, really bad experiences. I mean, guns going off, I've heard some of their stories. They really take advantage of the opportunity, some of them, don't they?
No. From what I've seen, you have some who take advantage of it. You have some who stay in that same mind state for a while. They don't want to let it go. It's a lot of pride and ego, depending on the age. It's a lot of pride and ego, so they like, nah, I'm still who I am prior. So it varies person to person, just like with every situation.
That's a good point. Now, you in your spare time enjoy sports, right?
Yes.
Basketball, particularly.
Yes.
Where do you play basketball in a wheelchair?
So I tell people I'm now retired, but I was involved in wheelchair basketball at West Grade, playing for the Houston Hot Wheels. I was able to be a part of 2 of the national wheelchair basketball championship runs, one with the juniors and then one with the adults. And then after that, I just stopped playing and fully focused in on school. It
used to be something we joked about, people playing wheelchairs, playing basketball, right? Now, people playing wheelchair basketball get drafted to colleges. They get full ride sponsorship to Alabama, Ohio, Oklahoma, Texas. That's wild.
Yeah.
Did you have anybody looking for you?
I had opportunities to go, but no one can guarantee me that I would be taken care of on the medical side. So when I was coming out of high school, I wasn't as independent as I am now. And one of my things, or one of my negotiating parts was, hey, will I be good medically? Do you guys have great PT and OT in your town? And no one can guarantee me that. So I went ahead and I attended community college first.
Wise man. But we do have a number of players who were on those teams with you.
Correct.
Who are now playing college basketball, right?
Correct.
What can you think about where any of them might be, how they're doing?
I have 2 teammates. They're currently at Alabama. I had a few who attended University of Texas at Arlington. Actually, I had 3 that attended Alabama. One, he's graduated now. So those probably the only 2 schools who were involved in recruiting players for my team.
What schools nationally are what college teams most often win their own leagues?
Definitely UTA. UTA is a powerhouse. They're known for winning a ton of college wheelchair basketball championships.
Wow. So they recruit from all over the country.
Correct.
You wouldn't, just thinking about it, UT Arlington, they probably do better in competitive wheelchair basketball than any other sport, right?
Yep.
That's pretty cool. So you keep up with old teammates?
Oh yeah, definitely. I try to. Of course, it's not a daily or weekly conversation, but every now and then I'll check in with them.
If somebody's watching this show and they think they might enjoy athletics or competitive athletics, what would you recommend they do?
I definitely recommend an individual to first go to West Gray, which is the adaptive gym here in Houston, and just view it first. If it looks intriguing to you, then go ahead and try to get into a chair and try it out.
So West Gray, you're talking about the Metropolitan Multi-Service Center.
Correct.
1475 West Gray, and people can drop in there anytime.
Correct.
And there are staff there who will help guide them, look up at the calendar and find out when the various teams are practicing. And I guess all those teams are looking for good players, right?
Correct.
Is there like a starter league, a starter team?
You have your juniors, which is, like I said, the kids who are young, haven't graduated high school yet, and then you have your adults. I think the adult team, if I'm not mistaken, is separated into 2 divisions, which is D3 and D2.
That's based on how much disability they're trying to overcome.
That's based on your skill level.
Oh. And the teams travel all over the country?
All over the country.
That's amazing. We'll try to get some photos to go along with the show. DaQuan, thank you very much for giving us some background there. We're going to take another break. Come back, we'll visit some more with DaQuan Minor. You all stay tuned, we'll be right back. This is Focus on Abilities.
Shake up your everyday and come explore downtown. From new art installations to family fun, sweat sessions, and movie nights, we're keeping Houston inspired and entertained. Join us. We are downtown.
Downtown is an art lover's dream with more than 65 pieces of public art.
Grease and wipes clog pipes. In fact, clogs from these items are the main cause of sewer overflows in Houston. Our pipes are designed to transport water, pee, poo, toilet paper, and soap. Here are a few items to keep out of toilets and drains. In the kitchen, put grease in its place. The trash. Simply pour it into a heat-resistant container. Cool it, then toss it in the trash. This includes food items such as meat fats, butter and cream, oils, and even dough and batter. All food scraps should be tossed in the trash. In the restroom, only flush the 3 P's: pee, poo, and toilet paper. Together, we can protect our pipes from clogs and overflows. Learn more at protectourpipes.org.
Metro is here for you every day, providing safe, reliable travel options. We take you to celebrations and help during emergencies. We're always listening to the community, and we manage taxpayer dollars responsibly. And thanks to overwhelming voter approval, we're building transit for today and tomorrow so that you can drive less and do more.
In Houston, we make tomorrow together.
But first, we make dinner together. We mix ingredients and cultures. We create excitement you can taste.
And experiences to savor.
Join us in Houston.
Let's make tomorrow together.
St. Arnold, Texas's oldest craft brewery, shipped their first keg of beer in 1994.
You're tuned in and turned on to HTV, and this is Focus on Abilities. We're here with DaQuan Minor. DaQuan, I guess all of us who use wheelchairs and other people with mobility impairments, and there are more and more. I mean, when you're out, you see a lot of people in the public who are now mobility impaired you didn't see before, right?
Correct. Over my 10 years, I feel like it's definitely an increase. I don't know if it's because I notice it more, just due to the fact of the environment I'm in as far as school and being that tier, but I'm definitely seeing it more.
A lot of them are old people, though.
Correct.
I mean, I'm saying old people. We are they.
Yeah.
And more and more people are getting out than before. Part of that is because it's more, the society's more open. I really believe that. Because there is more access, and because we do have disabled parking, but that has also produced some problems. What have you observed in that regard?
When it comes to accessibility, I feel like that's another topic where it'll continue to be an ongoing battle. No matter how many resources we have, no matter how many people we can turn to in order to help us out. One of the reasons I think it'll be an ongoing battle is because a lot of companies or establishments, they may not be aware of all the ADA laws. It's not a primary focus to them. They may know the bare minimums they need in order to build their establishment or be in compliance, but as far as the details of ADA, I think is one of those things where people just brush under the carpet. My experience, what I typically do, if there's an issue, I go and let the owner or manager on duty, whoever is in charge, let them know, hey, this how things go, or this how it should be, because they, like I said, they may not have any knowledge on it, and then if they decide to change it or work with me, fine, and not only that, I have the problem solved, but I also educated them while doing so. But then, of course, you have those moments when people just don't care. They're like, oh, whatever. And that's when it becomes frustrating. I feel like that's why a large population of our population try not to go out in public. They're afraid of those barriers they may come across. They don't know how to handle those barriers. So I wish we can have more solutions to this ongoing battle. So,
I mean, there are a range of things one can do.
Correct.
If one finds, there's a slogan we use on Metro when it comes to crime, and that is, if you see something, say something.
Correct.
And I think the same thing should apply to architectural barriers. If you see something, Say something. Don't just sit there. Now, I would not encourage somebody to go to somebody who's parked. You know, I've been outside a restaurant going in to get a meal and waiting on the disabled parking to clear. And boom, comes a truck with four-wheel raised way up. Dude jumps out of the truck, runs in the restaurant, and I'm looking like, now, what's that person's disability? Correct. And how did they get a handicap tag? Yeah. And if I look around, you know, now, part of me gets really angry and I like to face up to him. Yeah. But it kind of worries me too. This big dude, he'd take me down. I mean, just stare me down. It'd probably be enough to make me shrink. Yeah. It is frustrating. And then I see a FedEx driver, and you know, say something to them, and they say, "We'll just be here a minute." Yeah. Well, that's a minute. Exactly. And then I see somebody else pull up, and the family gets out of the car, walks in the restaurant, and I see a little hang tag on the mirror. Correct. Signed by a doctor. That I don't know which one of them getting treatment. They need that space, but I guess they do. Yeah. A few years ago, when Minute Maid Park opened, the company, Enron was the sponsor. Okay. Their medical doctor for their company wrote up those tags for every one of the executives. So they would have upfront parking for all the games. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that goes on. And it fries you, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I say, ongoing battle. You will only take it serious if you have a family member or a friend that lives this lifestyle, or if you live the lifestyle. If you're not familiar with the lifestyle, you don't too much care.
Well, it's, if you see something, say something. You can call 1-800-949-4232 to the ADA Technical Assistance Line, and they'll tell you what your rights are, and if you encourage the vendor or the restaurant or whatever to call that line, find out what their obligations are. It frustrates me that a lot of architects and code surveyors ignore our rules. Correct. That are in the Texas law. Correct. And that shouldn't happen either. Correct. And we need to turn them in. One place you can turn to, and you have experience with, is the U.S. Department of Justice. Just briefly, tell me what you did in one of the many cases you brought to light.
So it was an establishment, well-known establishment here in Houston. They weren't accessible for years, as long as I've been in the chair at least. And I got tired of the issue, and I found out, you know, how I was able to solve the issue basically, and the issue was solved, and now I can go there and eat without any issues. Yeah.
Family-owned restaurant.
Correct.
There for years, always a line.
Correct.
I always wanted to try their chicken and waffles, but I never got, you know, had two issues. If I stayed in line long enough, I couldn't get in the door because there was no ramp. And I couldn't find a place to park because there was no disabled parking. Exactly. We just came by it on the way here. What do they got?
Both.
All right. So it works. I mean, going, ringing the bell and calling for help. Correct. Sometimes works. And that's the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Houston. You have any, what the number or the?
I don't, honestly. You can just look up the U.S. Attorney Southern District, and I think it's under civil complaints, if I'm not mistaken, and it'll lead you to where you need to go.
All right, good. So DaQuan, we really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm a fan of yours, and looking forward to you being OT so I can come and pay you to service me. All right. Thank you all for watching. You know now the answer to the question. Houston, 2 national wheelchair basketball teams. Be sure to check in with the Multi-Service Center if you're interested in disabled sports. This is Focus on Abilities. I'm Lex Frieden. I hope you will join us next time for more Focus on Abilities.